here at Custom Corpses. Okay, I'm not going to be able to see your text because I got to put the phone up and I got to put it up elevated here so you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay, now this is going to be like a 3-4 part video. And what I'm making, or what I'm doing right now with my master mold, this is the mold that was huge and heavy and was leaking on that last video. And that's not the reason why I'm doing this. This is the master. This came from the clay. So, I just spent probably 5 minutes. You get little tiny air holes and stuff that are inside. I mean, some of them are so tiny they're about the size of a gnat, if you will. I just mix a little bit of the mortar up, the Ultra Cal 30, and I fill in those little tiny holes. And there was a couple imperfections in the ear. I wanted to fix that, and I did. So. I fixed little tiny holes all within inside the mast. This out here, no, that don't matter. But what does matter is I have to paste wax this. The paste wax, let me show you what it looks like. I can't wear glasses when I do this anymore. It's just so my eyesight's, I gotta get new glasses soon. All right, I get this Rexco. It's a special mold. It says it right on it. It's a mold paste wax, and I get that from Brick in the Yard. I shared that link to many of you guys. I get this can of paste wax. It's cheaper to go with this. You don't want to get the little jars because if you're going to be doing masks, you better have plenty of this laying around. Now, what this paste wax does is it seals the concrete, all right? And after I paste wax this, I gotta let it sit for about 2 hours. Now I have to paste wax the outer edge, all this, everything gets paste waxed. The inside especially, every little detail gets a lot of paste wax. Not a lot, I'm sorry. You gotta be careful that you don't fill in your little tiny details of where the details like the hair and the eyebrows and stuff like that. You don't want to fill them in with the paste wax because when you make your urethane copy of the mold, you don't want to lose any of your details. So it's very important that you don't lose those details. I got to keep that air compressor on, so bear with me. It'll be off in a second. All right, so I had everything right here. Got to get my little can opener. Open up my can. A little can opener. Pry it open. Behind me. All right, can't hear nothing anyway. Plenty of can openers. I have plenty of can openers. You can never get enough can openers. And the key is to be very comfortable while you're doing this. I'm outside. It's a beautiful day. It's probably 78 to 80 degrees. Somewhere in that vicinity. So you do the paste wax first. Now I like to buy from one person all the time, and when I find a company that I like, as far as so they carry something really good that if they carry one product that's really good, chances are the rest of their products are just as good, if not even better. So here's what this paste wax looks like. It's actually the mold paste wax. It's green. All right, so now I took a chip brush. You don't want a real fancy, expensive brush. Make sure you pull all the hair follicles out. You don't want this getting embedded on the surface of your mold, because if there's a hair on the surface, it's going to show up on the rubber mold. And when it comes to the rubber casting of the silicone rubber. Here's the silicone rubber that I use. All right, this is really simple. It's a part 1A, part 2B. So basically, what that means is it's two of these to one of the liquid hardener. All right, well, activator. So it's 2 bottles of this to 1 of these. But the way I do it, we're going to go into that after I start this thing, to show you how I do it. I use 1 bottle in plain liquid form to brush on, to grab all the details, because it'll be a lot runnier. And you want it to grab details, and you have to sit here and brush it and brush it and brush it and brush it. You'll see that takes time, about a half hour before it starts setting. And you want to make sure that first coat is all, and both sides. I got to do both sides at once. That first coat has to be really into all your details. All right. Then I come back and I use the other bottle, and I thicken it with a polyfiber. And by then, when both coats are on here, and I put a thin coat on the outside of this, I seal these 2 together and strap it. And then I take that polyfiber stuff and it's thicker, and I put it up inside the mask that way. This way it's nice and thick all throughout the whole thing. With the polyfiber, it'll stick straight to the walls. I won't have to worry about it falling down or running, and you'll see the process. You don't want to do that. So we're going to start with this one first. It's always the hardest. Hardest first. That's the way I like to work. So we're going to put some paste wax and really embed it onto my brush. I think I'm in camera shot here. I'm just kind of going back and forth, back and forth. All right, and we're going to start from the neck area. Now the other thing too is, once this is sealed, this will no longer absorb moisture. That means it's done. It's no longer a mold that you can use, other than maybe a paperweight. If you need that big of a paperweight, you got bigger problems than me, my friend. Anyway, yeah, so, and we want to make sure that we don't leave any brush marks in here. Not too bad anyway. I'll brush it in, and I'll really try to get this to absorb some of this. Is that in here? Yep, see, there you go. Perfect example. Yep, there's a little hair in there. On my finger, I don't know if I knocked it out of focus. Came off my brush. You gotta really watch for that. Take my glasses off because I can see when I got my glasses on. Can't see far away, but I can see inside this thing really good. And I'll go over this, I'm sitting comfortably, and if I miss anything, I'll definitely check it before I move on to the next thing. Yeah, man. And I've decided to make another another master of my latex masters, so it's 2 inches shorter. The reason why is the nose kind of got messed up, and it was my fault completely. So I'm not digging that copy. So I want to really pull. I'll make another mold that won't leak. That was the biggest issue I had here with this particular mold. Was the mold was leaking, and it was causing, every time the latex moves away from the wall, you got more of a chance of air bubbles, and that's why I ended up having all these air bubbles in this. Not in the actual mold, but in the latex mold. It just the ear didn't seal right. Just nothing sealed right. So my goal is to make sure that this is really sealed nice. I don't want to see any white at all. It all has to look this color, darkened, greenish. It'll have a green look to it, and I'll know that the surface is sealed real good. And there we go again. Here we go. Okay, I got it out. These brushes aren't the best, but you don't want to waste good brushes on work like this. Oh, I can't wait to have this in production. I know you guys have been like, can't wait either. You're just as anxious as I am. You guys want this mask. Some of you do, and some don't. Who knows? But believe me, I'm just as anxious to sell it to you as I am to get it finished. Can't wait to get the paint scheme done and everything. That's going to be cool. I figured out the hair. I'm just going to get mohair. I think that's the way I'm going to go. I don't like the mohair. Just has more of a natural look, especially if you get a real good quality of it. You want to get good quality. And you can get mohair on Etsy, and I can also get it in raw form. It's a lot of work. If you get it in raw form, it's cheaper, but you have to clean it. It's a smelly, stinky job. I was watching some videos on how to do that. But it's better than spending all that money on, mohair. Respectfully, I want to, make a mask that's affordable. Look, it's not going to be, by no means, it's not going to be cheap. I'm not doing that. I don't think it's going to be under $300. I think it's going to be $300, and shipping. I don't know. Maybe I have to figure out, depending on how bad shipping gets. Shipping's liable to become a real nightmare. What is that? That's nothing. And it's getting bad now, and I feel bad for all the truckers out there because they really are in a pinch. So if you know a trucker that's in business, help a guy out. If they need help, help them. Because it's a shame what they're doing to this country. It really is. But, if you know a trucker that's in need of help, make sure you help them. That's not an easy job either. A lot of people think it is. You're driving long hours sometimes. Yeah, you might be working for a company where you don't have to unload it or load it, but you still want to make sure you're checking your stuff. Yo, shooting video on how to seal the mask.
How to what?
How to seal it. I'm doing
I thought you said how to steal it. I was gonna say, well, that's
Oh, we're
not
gonna
fun.
steal it. I'm gonna steal it, all right. Yeah, I think Sue might need your help
Oh yeah.
moving the
Washer back.
Yeah,
Okay.
she's trying to.
Is she in there now?
I don't know if she's in there or not. I'm pretty sure she is. Just ask her. If she's in her room, just tap on the door. Probably watching TV. So, yeah, I want to make sure that I get this nice and sealed. I don't want anything. Because now, this kind of rubber, the reason why you have to do this is because that rubber will stick to concrete really bad, and you'll never get it out if this isn't sealed properly. It has to be sealed properly. Oh yeah. I'll do the outer edge once I get it. I'll make sure I get all the ear. Everything's got to be really sealed. And make sure there's no hair follicles in there either from the brush. Now once I get this done, you know, this part of the video will be done because I have to wait. I have to wait at least 2 hours to let this dry, and that will completely seal this. See, I keep getting these little fibers that are settling up here. So what I'm doing is I got it pasty on there, and you can see the brush strokes, but if you keep brushing at it, it soaks into the surface, and then the brush marks will go away. But you got to make sure you have a really good seal on it. Let me try and turn this. Yeah, see, I got a pile up here. Right behind the ear. You don't want the pile-ups. Can't have any pile-ups on your paste wax. If something like right here, there's a little bit of that paste wax that was behind that ear. You don't want anything globs like that, because guess what? Your mask will come out. You'll see that it will. It definitely won't look right. Now I know I gotta glob that out of there. Now I'll go over this thing real good to make sure that I have no clumps and no bald, like dry spots. See, like right here, you can see that white. That's because it's not sealed. I gotta go in there and seal that better. Without this paste wax, oh, you couldn't use this. You couldn't use this. You wouldn't be able to use the rubber. Urethane loves to grab concrete. It really does. But it also is such a nice. Why use urethane? Plain and simple. Urethane doesn't shrink. Alright, now let me double check. I'm going to just spin this around. Yeah, I can see some of this in here is not sealed properly. Gotta make sure to do the ears real good. Make sure you're getting those ears real good, because if you don't, it's your headache in the end when you're trying to get that rubber out of there. And forget about saving that. If that rubber sticks to this, it's over, because it won't come off and it will tear the details right off the face of that thing. I mean, now there's no salvaging the mold or the master copy if that grabs. So it's real important to really make sure that you go over this with every detail. Definitely don't want this sticking. You don't want to put too much on either, because then you'll have a hard time getting it out. Now see that another hair. See, as that's wet, like greasy. Feels greasy, but I can scoop it out of there. And just go over top of it again. And there we go. Something else is there. I was hoping it sticks to my hand. What were you grumpy about yesterday?
What's that, Mike?
You were grumpy, it seemed like, or you didn't hear me. I'm not sure what.
Why? What happened?
When I asked you, I said, oh, I forget what the hell I asked you too. It wasn't that important, I guess. But I don't know, you just didn't reply. So,
Did I walk out?
yeah, you went in the bathroom and then came out. I don't know.
I probably didn't hear you.
You probably didn't. I mumble a lot.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know if you know it or not. I don't hear from behind at all.
No,
I thought you knew that.
no. Nope.
You still alive? Oh,
Yeah, I'm still alive.
Hello, everybody.
We are preparing
Johnny's
for
Bob Rossing his thing here.
masterpiece.
Masterpiece, yes.
It's a masterpiece.
So what's the objective of sealing it?
What's that?
What's the reason
Well,
you
this
seal
is
it?
paste wax. This will seal the concrete so that the rubber won't grab to this. I still have to add another sealer. Oops, damn it. Almost like water. I don't want that in there. I'll flip it over. But anyway. Yeah, there's another release agent that I put on there that also, after this is dry, that
How many pulls now can you get from this?
oh, this is done. Actually, leave that on. Just leave it on. It'll come off in a second. Yeah. Once I make the rubber mold, this is permanently sealing this, so this won't absorb any more liquid out of the latex.
Gotcha.
The reason why you have to do that is because that rubber will stick to concrete. Forget about it. You'll never get it off. I make sure that I do
Thorough job of
a
applying.
thorough job of making sure that I have plenty of paste wax on the barrier, the mold walls, and anything that might be sticking in there.
So any like tackiness or whatever from the latex won't stay. That's cool.
Yeah, it's a sealer. It seals it up.
What is this, traditional wax or is it?
Yeah, it's just
particular-
plain old paste wax. They say you can use car paste wax. I don't know. You know what? I'll stick to getting
Somebody
professional
else,
stuff.
professional stuff, yeah.
Get the professional stuff. You know, it's built, it's made for this. This stuff is actually, it says right on the can. Mold care. That's what it says.
Yeah.
It says mold care. And it's real important that you don't get any of it caked up in here either. That's another thing. In other words, like if you have a piece of clay stuck on that wall or a piece of hair, you'll,
Be stuck.
well, you'll have it'll, like, you see the eyebrows?
Yeah.
Imagine a piece of hair going across here. It does the same thing. It'll stick out on the mask.
Oh,
So,
that's not good.
and especially with urethane, you don't want that with the urethane.
Ah, I see where you're, no, I got with the urethane. I see.
We're making urethane now.
Urethane will stick to anything.
Yep, urethane is the product. And that's the 7420. And you can get it at Brick in the Yard. There's Brick in the Yard right there. Poly 7420. Liquid rubber. And it's basically a really nice mold product. It's good for molds. It's, well, they what they really use that for is to make concrete pavers.
Huh.
They make molds out of it. They make a mold. They can make a mold out of clay to make a really cool concrete paver. Or say you want to make it look like you want to cover a slice of log that you have.
Right.
You can pour that over top of it
Huh.
and make a mold. And I can make all kinds of like log-shaped cement pavers that look like they're concrete, but they're taken from an actual tree trunk or a piece of wood. I wouldn't say tree trunk. Gosh, wants to deliver some fibers, extra fibers for me. Putting some more fiber in my diet. Now out here, I really put it on pretty thick because I don't want this to grab on the outer wall. Because if it grabs out here, you're just as in deep shit as you were if you didn't.
Oh, 4 people in here.
Is there 4?
Yeah, buddy.
Well, I'm sorry I can't answer any questions because my phone is my camera. But I'll answer them, post those comments, and I'll answer them when
Now,
uh-oh.
what you should do, because I do have your other phone that you gave me. You take the old phone, charge it up, run on Wi-Fi, and log into your account on that. You should be logged in. Log into it and then just set it over here and run it through the Wi-Fi, and you can watch the comments because you'll be on
Sure.
Wi-Fi.
We can do that. I don't know if you want to use the phone for anything else. Now in here, these are the keys, register keys, right? You see these register keys? You got an innie and an outie with these register keys. Just make sure when you paste wax inside of there, you want to make sure you get all that paste wax out. Because when you go to seal this up, it'll be a mess. I'm not going to seal that up until... I'm even going to put a little on the outside of the wall here. This way, if there's any rubber that comes over top, it won't grab to my outer wall. And I'm just being slow and careful and meticulous. I can rush this. I don't want to rush it because I've experienced some bad things. Rushing gets you nowhere.
Oh, there you are.
What's that? You found me?
Yep.
Anybody yapping it up?
Custom corpses.
That'll confuse me. Don't let me hear myself. That's cool. I still got this half to do too, guys. So we are making a sealer. This is what this is. We're sealing the concrete so it can't absorb moisture anymore. Once this is done, this mold is shot. It's no good to anybody. But I'll have a master copy that I can make another mold from out of urethane that I won't lose the size. The whole point of making a urethane copy is so you don't lose your original size. When you make a latex master copy, it'll shrink up about 2 inches. And that's no good because you don't want to lose that original size, especially if you're trying to make 2 different size masks. And that's what I am trying to do. I'm making 2 different size masks. There's going to be a large and a smaller one. Smaller one, not small. It's going to be definitely bigger than, I'm thinking 25 inches, 25 and a quarter, somewhere in that area. And the other thing too with the Michael Myers mask, the reason why it's kind of better to have the mask a little bit bigger on you is because in the eyes, when your eyes are like right up at the face of the mask, it doesn't look good. You want your eyes back a little bit so they can't really see your eyes too well. And that calls for a bigger mask to do that. You can't achieve that look without having a large mask. I mean, I've had guys that put that Trick or Treat Studios 2018 H40, whatever you want to call it, they put it on and it's too small for them, and the problem is, I didn't see that, but there was a little bit of latex stuck to the sidewall. Where was I at? I just lost my train of thought.
You were talking about Trick or Treat Studios.
Oh yeah, the Trick or Treat Studios mask. It's way too small for most people. It's only 24 inches in diameter. That's a small mask. I find that most people fit a 25-inch mask. Some people it's real loose on it, and then some people fit that Trick or Treat Studios really well. But not me.
Definitely not my big head.
Yeah, that ain't gonna work for me. I gotta have a. Yeah, come back up when you're done.
Okay.
This will be drying for 2 hours. Is she doing anything or no? Okay, so back to you guys. Talk to you now. Yeah, this is it's a process. It really is. You can't just. I still have to do the base too. Now, I'm also going to do this outer wall because I don't want. If it runs over, I don't want it to grab. And leave me with a stuck mask. So I'm going around the trim of this. Now the other thing I have to do is this base here too, because that's important. I'm using these blocks of wood to keep everything from falling down on me. This is good. See some dried latex and make sure that's all off. Yeah, latex does not like to stick to concrete. But silicone, yeah, silicone does. No, is it silicone? I forget. Well, it's definitely urethane loves concrete. Mortar. This is Ultra Cal 30, but Oh yeah. I'm putting it on heavy on these outer edges because of spillage. There won't be too much of that anyway, but just in case. Just in case, better be safe than sorry, as they say. Yeah, sorry guys that this is taking longer than it should have. I mean, I had to wait for the weather to break. I didn't want to be out here in 50-degree temperatures with this kind of product because, or you know, with latexing, and because it doesn't like to cure in real cold weather. You know, it just takes forever to get anything to dry right. You know, so especially with the plaster and you know, just all of it. I'll be careful not to do anything here. If I need to, I'll razor this off. All right, but I want to make sure that I get it cleared off here. Perfect weather for this. Oh my God, I love it. I got a nice little breeze. I'm enjoying myself out here with you guys. Talk to you. I wish I could answer questions. Maybe down the road I'll have to get myself a real setup. You know, gotta crawl before you walk. It's always been my belief. Besides, you always want that learning period too. You want to be able to learn. You gotta learn. And you don't want to spend top dollar before you learn because, you know, you find that, oh boy, get out of there. Yeah, it's just wiser to spend as minimal as you can as you learn. Because as you learn, you start to refine what you use, what you need, versus see some fibers sticking. There we go, got that out of there. Make sure I got the reverse side of the nose so I can get right around that nostril area because that can be a sticking point. And you don't want to get stuck there. So make sure there's no globs of paste wax on the surface. I'll go a little extra on this chin area right in here because looking in every nook and cranny to make sure I don't have any anything blocking Yeah, you definitely have to let this dry, this stuff, because if it doesn't dry up on you, it doesn't seal as well. It can literally come off right into the rubber, and then you got a mess on your rubber. So, make sure that I got it coated on the outside. Oop, little spot that ain't done yet. You don't use a lot of this, believe it or not. Little goes a long way. Piece of latex right where it wasn't supposed to be. I'm just going the extra mile. I'm double checking, triple checking everything. I don't want any dry spots. I got any dry spots on here, I got a problem. Once this is dry, I'll air it out. I'll take the air compressor, blow it out again, just make sure there's no little particles sticking in here. Just a little piece of hair. Got it. Yay. Brush that again. Yeah, I must say I did a good job sealing this thing. Or sealing it. Did a good job doing the mortar, adding the mortar, and I can see that it's smoothed out really nice now. I don't have a lot of imperfections. Just constantly going over it. This side's easy. Now, before I go and move on to the next thing, I gotta make sure I go into these things and make sure there's no leftover paste wax sitting in the holes. Don't want any things stopping this from sealing at one point. That's really good. That's really, the whole surface is nice and slippery. That's what I'm also doing too. I'm feeling this to make sure that I don't feel any dry spots. It feels greasy when you have it covered nice. Feel a little rough spot there. Hold on. There we go. You always want to check your edges. All right, that's got to dry, and then I got to do the other side. All right, so I want to keep this upward. Right about there. And I'm just taking blocks of wood, and I'll level it out. Won't go nowhere, so it'll stay sturdy enough to where I don't have to worry about it. There you go. And let that dry, and move over to the next spot. This is more for when I don't necessarily need to do this right now with the blocks of wood. that's when I go to put the rubber in. But, I don't know, just a habit. I like to be able, I like working level, I like. Okay, you see where the lettering is. I hope you guys can see this, but at least you can see some of it. You gotta be really careful there because there's little tiny holes, and I'll brush the hell out of that area to get all the paste wax out of that. I'm gonna go in there real dry with a dry brush to make sure that there's not. Yeah, this it's a tedious thing, it really is. Now I'm doing with the tips of the brush, this way it kind of unburies. Seeing little fibers are trying to sneak out of this brush. Another one, Jesus. See, the problem is these brushes, over these hairs, especially on a rough surface. You don't want your paste wax too caked up. See how dry that brush is? Doesn't have a lot of caked up wax on it because I don't want this detail getting lost with a clump of wax on there. That's real important. And what I'll do is the way I did this mold is there's these little tiny holes that I put in there. I did with a special sculpting tool that was perfectly round sphered, and it really made some really cool texture inside the letters and the numbers. If you watch that video, that was pretty cool. And what made me think of that was I was watching an old TV show called The Munsters, and they had this closet where their phone was. I don't know, for whatever reason, it reminded me of that look. And I thought, why not put that into the inside of my letters? I think it was like on the wall of the telephone booth that was inside the house. Kind of zany, they had a telephone booth inside their house instead of a regular phone on their, you know. Well, no, you may not know. If you're young, you won't know. We used to have our phones hanging on the wall. They had one inside of a wall that was like a secret wall, and it came out, turned, and you went in and you used this phone. I wish I remember what the phone looked like. I'm sure it was creepy. But anybody that used to watch the Herman Munsters, that's where I came up with the idea of doing my lettering the way I did. Now I'm stabbing at the letters because I don't want to lose, like I said, any details. And I'll check it, triple check it before I. It's the hardest part with this. The hardest part is the letters. You don't want to lose the detail, but you got to make sure that wax is on every spot of it. Because wherever that rubber grabs, it's not going to want to let it go. put some good wax on here to get this head area, ear area. There's a piece of monster clay wedged up inside of this. Out of there now. Okay, so in here, a little grease up these walls here. Yeah, this side's a lot easier because you don't have the eyes and nose. All right, now I'm going to flip this around. No sense in having the blocks there. Make sure I can look up inside of this. Yeah, see, it's all caked up. I can see the wax is caked up into the S area. So let me make sure I have nothing left on the brush. Clean the brush off real good. There's nothing on the ends. Oh yeah, popped it right out of there. Take a good look at that. Still some caked up over here. Good. Like it should. Sometimes you got the little fibers of hair there coming from the brush. What's cool is it sticks to your hand too, so the fibers will stick to your hand, your fingers when you're brushing them out, when you're taking them out of there. And it feels greasy. Doesn't feel like it's oh yeah. Same thing on the outer wall. Gotta make sure it's released. That's what it's called. It's called releasing it. You're giving the rubber nothing to stick to permanently. It will grab to the walls once this dries, but it won't stick. You know, it won't stick like it would if it was dry. If it's stuck, it's stuck. Yeah. Forget it. It's just gone. I've already ruined one. Didn't mind though, because I salvaged the sculpture. Like I said, this is why I learned to work with the hard clay, because the hard clay, you're able to salvage your sculpture, whatever you've done. You know, you don't have to worry about losing your sculpture. Oh yeah, there's some damage when you demold. You saw that in the other video. There's some damage, but it's minimal and you can fix it. You know, you can fix it back to what it was. Damn near perfect to the exact thing. The ears might vary just a little. But Around these nipples, they're called keys. That's what they call them. Register keys. But you want to make sure that you don't have a cake on there either. It has to be well sealed. Make sure you get around the edges real good. Now it don't matter about brush marks on this. On this wall, it doesn't matter that I get brush marks on that, because this isn't what I'm trying to make a mold of. What I'm trying to make a mold of is the surface of my mask. So you leave the brush marks, and that actually gives it a little more layering, so it caked on there really good. Just don't want any real big clumps around your keys. And why I prefer to constantly just spin it is because as I'm working it, I'm also checking it. So you constantly go around, go around, go around, go around. Don't try to work from one point of view, because if you do that, you're going to really set yourself up for possibly disaster. So as you're spinning it, you're also checking it. I still have to do the outer wall, outer rim all the way around, but I want to make sure that this is nice and sealed. And then I'm going to take my finger, once I know that this is done, and I'm going to make sure I touch everywhere. I put my finger everywhere, just so I know that I have, all right, now I've got this area here to do. This wall here, the bottom around the neck area, just in case you get some runs or drips when you're filling it. Now, there's a little piece of foam on there from when I was doing the foam filling of the latex. That ain't gonna come off, so I'm gonna seal that really good right there with this paste wax so it won't stick to it. Piece of clump of foam there. It's not latex, but it is foam. It's what I use to foam fill the mask. Oh yeah. Looks extra good. Make sure you get that wall, anything that might have, see, there was a little clump sitting on the inside of the wall. Make sure those edges are nice and cleaned off all the way around. You don't want nothing in the inside of your mask. Just a couple, some clumps here. Now, I gotta let this sit for like 2 hours. Oop, I forgot to do the outer wall. Outer edge, just in case. I don't know if you guys can see me. I hope I'm still in frame. I I can always razor it out, but it just makes it easier. You don't want to deal with, like, you know, just nightmare pulling it out. Oh yeah. Now there's like a little divot on the inside. You want to make sure that they're filled really good, because if they're not, you know, there's plaster that doesn't have wax on it. A little grab. Some people will look at this and go, "Oh man, he's being too anal." No, I'm not. I just don't want to make mistakes. I don't want to have something happen because I didn't go the extra mile and didn't, you know, take precaution. There's 12 months of work in this. You have 12 months, and it comes down to making that master urethane copy. After, I think the hardest, the worst part is the mold. Once the mold is done, then your master copy, you want to make sure there's no air bubbles, no, oh my God. Yeah, it's important, because if you don't get it right, you're setting yourself up for a disaster. Now, I'm going to take my dirty fingers and make sure there's no dry spots on the inside of this wall here. All greasy. I did a good job so far. So far, so good. We'll do the same thing on the inside of the mask, or inside of the. This feels a little dry here. It also could be drying, that's the other thing too. And now it's nice and slippery. There we go. Let me see what it feels like on the inside. Pretty cool, but it's drying already. Look in there really carefully and make sure there's nothing. Nothing that might cause me problems later. We're looking good. I'm just going to wet it just a little bit more up in this area. This area. Especially right in the ear area. Okay. Now it also helps me rub it in. It rubs into the surface real good. Ooh, that feels a little. That felt a little too dry for my liking. This looks good. Don't have any problems with details, that's for sure. Okay. That's set up. We just need to set this back up. So that's simple. The thing is, I don't want this. This here, you see how I have this tilt? It's going to run this way. I don't want that. I want it level, almost level. All right, so what can I use? Where's this thing? Oh, messed me up. All right, hold on. That's going to stab somebody. I leave it like that. Really? That's one way. I'll lean it against the other one. Not going to be important until I start putting that latex in there. I'll make sure it's setting up now. There's another block of wood sitting in the front here. Yep, that's what it is. That's the one I needed. Oh, there it goes. Take that out of there. Now I'm going to put my lid back on my paste wax because we are finished this process. Something fell. Now, after this dries for 2 hours, I come back and I put this sealer release agent in there. It's like very oily. And I'll brush that in there real good too, and then let that sit for an hour. And then we start mixing rubber and work the details, get all the details. We do a thin casted rubber that goes on here to grab all the details. And then we do a thick, pasty with polyfiber. We add fiber to the dense stuff. And we mix that up, and then we put the hardener in there and mix that in with the hardener. And actually add the fiber after you have the hardener in there, yes. Because you got to have that hardener really mixed well within your rubber. And then you, from there, you start making your master copy. This is done, guys. This is going to be fun. I'm just want to stand up over top of this and really look into it. Make sure I don't see anything. Perfect. any kind of clobs of ooh, that's a little dry there. Where'd my brush go? There it is. Just gonna touch a little bit on my finger. It might even be dry just because it's drying. Yeah, that's what it is. I do believe in getting your hands dirty. If you're worried about getting your hands dirty, don't get in this business. This ain't for no prima donnas, that's for sure. Okay, that can dry now. All right, guys, that's it for a couple hours, and we come back and we start doing the next thing. All right, so I'm gonna say adios. Thank you for watching. Let me see what you guys are saying on there. I'll read some of your text real quick. Let me read some of your texts. Say hello. Come on, get off of there. There's 2 people left. Okay. There was 4 on there, huh? All right, let's see what we got here. I want to use my pasty hands touching the screen, but I have to. What's up, man, Crusher? I know you're always on here, so I can always... Kenny! What's up, brother? AMS, good to see you're keeping at it. Yeah, you know what? I don't like to stop. I hate stopping. Yeah, it's not a half map. Sorry, Ken. It's you know it is what it is. Crusher, you'll be back, huh? So let me know who's on here right now. I got 2 people watching. Who's on? Well, there's 1 person now. It says 1. Got 4 likes. Who's on with me right now? Say hello. Yeah, it's such a beautiful day out here. Nice breeze. Perfect summer day. So, yeah, that'll dry for a good 2 hours before I come back and keep going with it, so to speak. Say hello, 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 hello. Yeah, I couldn't put the camera where I really wanted to because I don't have enough deck on the other side of this table. So I had to keep the camera off to the right of me and not in the way of my chair. The legs. See the legs? They're right in my way of the chair and I can't really get it anywhere else. I can't put it behind me because then you won't be able to see what I'm doing. It'll block. I need a really high... I need a higher camera stand. This is a cheap one. So we just did this for 76 minutes and counting. And I'll be back in 2 hours, guys, for part 2. This is part 1 of making a urethane master copy. of your mold. All right. Peace. Hope to see you in 2 hours. Have a great day. Hit the like, share the content, hit the notification bell. This way you'll know when I'm on. Most of you guys do get that. Any new guys out there that watch the video, please, definitely they like likes. Apparently on YouTube, they love the likes, so I gotta have a lot of likes. Just keep hitting that like button. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching what I'm doing, watching my learning process. It is a process, and I'm learning as I go. But I'm a quick study, thank God. That just comes from years and years. I'm 60 years old. It comes from years of jumping right in and just doing. I don't believe in sitting back and contemplating for two days on a job that only takes 5 minutes. You know, you just go at it. And today it's even easier, man. You got YouTube to show you how to do everything. It's crazy. You know, you got guys that are sharing their content like myself. You know, you can learn how to plumb. Plumbing's a little bit of an art, though. I can't say that. I don't mess with electricity. I don't trust myself with electricity. So I don't like electricity. I don't like messing with plumbing. Plumbing's an art. I'd rather hire somebody for those two jobs. So, but like I said, don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. Carpentry, I love working with wood. I got my saw cut up. Oops, let me move my hand. Got my chop saw set up right over here. I got my little stand that pulls all the way out. That thing slides all the way out. I can cut some really large wood. I got my table saw leaning up over there, right next to my generator. And that's in between the generator and the creeper, my Grim Reaper. So that table saw, that's nice. That's nice too. Top saw, ripping saw. You rip the wood with that. But cleaning up the deck slowly but surely. More slowly than surely. So, anyway, guys, I'm going to say peace, and I hope to see you in a couple hours. Come back on and join me. All right? Thanks. See you later.